The prayer, the obligatory prayer is called Salah. Salah. Okay, there's 5 prayers throughout the day and the night that are fard. 5 prayers throughout the day and the night that are fard. Fard means obligatory. This, according to all scholars, 5 prayers that are fard. As for the word wajib, some scholars use the word wajib in a special way. So some scholars are going to say, yeah, 5 prayers are fard, 5 prayers are wajib. But some scholars use the word wajib in a special way. We're not going to talk about it now. Fard. Fard means obligatory. There's 5 of these prayers. You know them. They are Dhuhr, Asr, Maghrib, Isha, and Fajr. Fajr, which is also called Subh. Okay, you know those prayers. When did their time start? Okay, so Dhuhr time starts when? When the sun declines. Declines means comes down from the zenith. Zenith is the middle of the sky and the highest point of the sun. I'm going to demonstrate for you. Inshallah, into the west. Even when we say into the west, you don't have to because it's not going to go anywhere else. But we'll say it. When the sun declines from the zenith into the west, what does that mean? I'm going to show you, inshallah. Now I just want to write it out for you first. Asr time starts when the shadows are as long as what casts them, plus the zenith shadow. When shadows are as long as what casts them, plus the zenith shadow. What does that mean? I'm going to show you, inshallah. Maghrib, it comes in when the sun goes down, when the entire disk of the sun is down. So someone might say, okay, I know what that means. That's clear. Okay. All right, that's good. And Isha, when does that one come in? Isha comes in uh, when the twilight disappears. When twilight disappears, I'll show you, inshallah. And then Fajr comes in when the white light of dawn appears. Huh. When the white light of dawn appears, I'll show you. Okay. So right now, when all the prayer times come in has been written out. But someone might say, what about when they go out? What's the rule for when the prayer times go out? The rule for when the prayer times go out is that they go out when the next one comes in, except for Fajr. Except for Fajr. Fajr ends. So I'm going to add here. and ends at sunrise. And ends at sunrise. So number five, Fajr is the only one that I wrote. It ends at, cause Dhuhr time ends at Asr time. Asr time ends at Maghrib time. Maghrib time ends at Isha time. Isha time ends at Fajr time. So Fajr time ends at Dhuhr time? No. Fajr time ends when the sun cracks the horizon. Then there's a gap between Fajr and Dhuhr. Okay. Now, let me demonstrate for you. Bismillah. So this is what we went over yesterday. So let's use green for the ground. And we'll use this mustard color for the sun. Now, in the first place, now let's say this time let's use the example of a pole. Of a pole, it's a flagpole. So this flagpole has a flag. Flag blowing in the wind there. So let's first of all establish our measurements. We're going to say here that this flagpole is 20. Again, I don't use meters, so I'm going to say 20 meters. For all I know, I'm saying it's like so tall because I'm not used to that. So I'm just going to say 10 meters. That's not too tall, is it? Is a 10-meter pole reasonable? Okay, Alhamdulillah. It's tall. That's a tall pole. Okay, we got a tall one then. That's good. So here we have 10-meter pole. This 10-meter pole, that's how long it is. So we're going to look at the shadows too. So let's start with the fact that the sun rises in the east. So sun's rising right here. It's not even completely over the horizon. It's just cracking the horizon coming up. So when the sun is just rising like this, what happens? It's rising where? In the east. When the sun is rising in the east like this, then the sun then the sun casts shadow. In the morning, shadow's going to be long. And they're going to be pointing towards the west. Shadow's going to be pointing towards the west. That way is west. Because the sun's rising in the east. Now, how long is this shadow right here? Doesn't matter, really. There's no rule for this. But I'm starting here so to show you the process of what happens throughout the day. Then the sun rises. So as the sun rises, then the shadow, it gets shorter. Because the higher the sun gets, then the shorter the shadow gets. So, yani, I'm going to use a blue shadow then. So I don't have to keep switching like that. And as the sun rises and rises, shadow gets shorter and shorter. And you can notice something too about the shadow. It's doing what? It's turning until the sun reaches its highest point of the sky. This is called zenith. And zenith is the middle of the sky between east and west. So this zenith, when the sun is here, When the sun is here, Bismillah. The sun is here between east and west. The sun is between east and west here. It's not on the eastern side, it's not on the western side. So that's when the sun is at its zenith. It's also it's at its highest point of the day. So zenith is what? Middle of the sky and what? Highest point of day for the sun. The highest point of the sun for the day. Two things. And when we are at this time, that's when the shadow is going to be its shortest. Now we care about how long the shadow is. And now, when the sun is here, then it is added, then the case of the shadows that is at its shortest point of the day. Case of the shadows that is at its shortest point of the day. So here's the other shadows here. So how long is this shadow here? Let's say this shadow, when the sun is at its zenith, is 2 meters. In which direction is this shadow? Neither in the east nor in the west. When the sun's rising from the east, the shadow's in the west. When the sun is between east and west, then so is the shadow between east and west. Now, just like we also saw, as the sun got higher, the shadows got shorter. Now, what's the sun going to do? It's just going to get lower. So, what's going to happen to the shadows? They're going to get longer. So, that means we're going to anticipate that at some point, the shadow is going to become 12 meters from the base of the pole. 12 meters from the base of the pole. So, what's going to happen is we're now going to take note and we're going to say when this shadow gets to 12 meters, let's say 12 meters is out here, somewhere out here. When that shadow gets to 12 meters, that means Asr's in. Asr is in. We already said the rule. Asr comes in when the shadows are as long as what casts them, plus the zenith shadow. So then you might say, Asr, we didn't even talk about Dhuhr yet. Yeah, that's right. We didn't even talk about Dhuhr yet. So the way this works is you're going to figure out the time for Asr before Dhuhr even comes in. Because when does Dhuhr come in? Dhuhr comes in when the sun comes out of its zenith, tilts over into the west, even just a little bit. Once the sun comes over to the western side, that's when Dhuhr starts. And what's going to happen when that sun tilts over to the western side? You know, what's going to happen when that sun tilts over into the western side is that the shadows are going to start growing again. So it means the shadows going to start growing again and growing again and growing again as the sun is declining. So when that shadow reaches 12 meters, the length of the pole plus the length of the zenith shadow, then we know Asr's in. So maybe, for example, that's here. When the sun was at this position, so it caused the shadow to be so long. So in terms of the time, then we're going to see how long Zuhr lasted. Zuhr lasted all this time here. All what's in between here. Zuhr lasted all this time here in between here. Then Asr came in. Now Asr stays in until the disk of the sun is completely below the horizon. Completely below the horizon. And now Maghrib is in, even if there's still sun rays coming up over the horizon. If there's still sun rays coming up over the horizon, Maghrib is still in. Those sun rays don't have any judgment. Then what's going to happen is those sun rays are going to go away. And then when the sun goes down, if it's a clear day, there's going to be some light in the western horizon. That's called twilight, or it's called dusk. It's going to be some light in the western horizon where the sun went down. Did I say eastern? There's going to be some redness in the western horizon where the sun went down. As long as that redness is there, Maghrib is in. Maghrib will stay in until that redness disappears. Even if there's still some whiteness or yellowness left, Maghrib's still in. Maghrib is out. Maghrib is out when the redness is gone. If there is some whiteness or yellowness left over after the redness is gone, Maghrib is out. And then eventually, even that's going to disappear. And now, yani, once the redness disappears, though, Isha is in. Even if there was some whiteness or yellowness left over, Isha is in once the redness is gone. What do we say here? Isha starts when twilight disappears. So now it's nighttime. And the dusk has gone. The sun is down. There's no shadows, of course. You don't have shadows in the nighttime unless you have some light source. And then what's going to happen at this time, now that Isha is in and the dusk has disappeared, then that's when the stars start to pop out. Then, when you see many stars in the sky, that means Isha time. That's Isha time, not Maghrib time. At Maghrib time, you don't have many stars in the sky. It's just the first darkness at Maghrib time. Then eventually the redness in the western horizon goes away after the sun goes down. That's when the stars will start appearing. That's Isha time. And the Isha lasts all night long until there's a whiteness, a white light in the eastern horizon. Now it's Fajr time. It's still dark though at first. Fajr time still dark like it's nighttime, but now it's morning time because the light appeared. The light of dawn appeared. Then this light of dawn's going to get more. And then eventually the blueness of the sky is going to start to appear. It's not going to look like it's nighttime anymore. It's going to be getting morning time now. If you are outside, you can see who is the person next to you. Yani, assuming there's no lights around. Because all this talk we're talking about here doesn't depend on being in the place that has electricity, and street poles and things. If you want to understand the rules of the religion, imagine yourself a person who doesn't have any of these technological things. Then what happens? Then eventually the sky becomes mixed with redness. If you haven't prayed Fajr by the time this redness is there, then pray. This is the dislike time for Fajr. And then eventually, what's going to happen? Eventually, the sun's going to crack the horizon. Here comes the sun rising now. Soon as the sun cracks the horizon, Fajr is over, but Dhuhr didn't start yet. Because Fajr, the back of Fajr doesn't connect to the front of Dhuhr. That's why we started at Dhuhr. Then we went to Asr, then to Maghrib, then to Isha, then to Fajr, and we stopped at Fajr because the Fajr doesn't connect to the back of Fajr doesn't connect to the front of Dhuhr. Now, once that sun cracked the horizon, Fajr's over, there's no obligatory prayer time. And then what's going to happen? Then what's going to happen is that the shadow's going to be long in the morning, facing the west. And as the sun rises and rises, the shadow is getting shorter and shorter, and it's turning until the sun will cross over into the west, and the shadows will turn into the east and start getting longer and longer and longer. So that sun's going to be rising and rising and rising till it gets to its zenith. Once it gets to its zenith, that's when the shadow is at its shortest point of the day. And the thing that casts a shadow, by the way, is called what? The thing that casts a shadow is called Shachis. Shachis. The Shadowcaster. Sounds like a superhero name or supervillain name. A cartoon guy. The Shachis is the Shadowcaster. Then, when the sun comes out of its zenith, even a little bit, Dhuhr time starts. That's when the shadow tilted. The tilted shadow, it has a name. It's called fate. Fate. And the sun will continue its course towards the west. As it's declining, the shadow's getting longer. Until at some point, the shadow's going to be as long as the object is casting the shadow. Let me use a different color though. The shadow's going to be as long as the object that cast it, plus as long as the zenith shadow. That's when Asr comes in. After that, khalas, we don't need to keep tracking the length of the shadows. Asr's in. We have now ascertained Asr time. We're going to pray our Asr prayer. Now what are we waiting for? Now we're waiting for the sun to complete its descent and then go below the horizon. But before that, beware, be mindful. There is a time when the sun is low, close to the horizon, and this is disliked time for Asr. Disliked Asr time. This is when the sun is low, close to the horizon, ready to set. The sun is low, close to the horizon, ready to set, and it's dim. And if you look into it, it doesn't hurt your eyes. And the light of the sun on the walls and on the ground is yellow. If you didn't pray Asr by this time, pray. So this is the dislike time for Asr right there. No reward. No reward. So you want to pray Asr before that time. That's the time the hypocrites pray. The ones who pretend to be Muslim only, they don't want to pray. And if they prayed, they only did it because somebody's around. And they're going to wait to the last minute because their heart's not really there. And then the last minute, they're going to hop up and then they're going to pray. And they're going to, when they make sujood, it's going to be like a bird pecking the ground, picking up something off the ground, or chicken. So don't pray at that time. That's the time for the hypocrites. But it's not haram at that time. Some scholars said it's haram, though, if you don't have an excuse. According to some scholars, that's emergency time. You don't pray Asr at that time unless you have an excuse, or else you're sinful, even. But not Shafi'i school. You're not sinful here, but you don't have any reward. Then the sun goes below the horizon. Now, Maghrib is in. Now, Maghrib is in, even if there are sun rays over the horizon. Those sun rays have no effect. And then what usually happens at that time? There's a redness. After the sun goes down, that's if it's a clear day. Then Maghrib stays in until this redness disappears. Then, when this redness disappears, Isha is in. If I were an animator, if I knew how to make cartoons and I had the capability, I would animate something here for showing the prayer times. Now Isha is in, and Isha stays in all night long. And the stars start popping out, and Isha stays in until there is a white light in the eastern horizon before the sun comes up. Now it's morning time. Even though it's still going to be dark at first, still looks like it's nighttime. If you don't have lights, you're not going to see the person next to you. Who is he? And then that is going to increase. And the blueness of the sky, then that's going to increase, and the blueness of the sky starts to appear. This is all Fajr time, and you want to pray Fajr before the redness comes. Redness comes at Fajr time before the sun comes up. This is dislike time. Yani, when it's strong, when the redness is strong. That's a dislike time for Fajr. So pray Fajr before that. And then eventually, what's going to happen? Eventually, the sun will rise. Now Fajr's over. And starts all over again. It's going to rise until it gets to its zenith. Then shadow's going to be at the shortest point of the day. Then it's going to tilt out of its zenith and the shadow's going to turn. That shadow that turns is called fade. Dhuhr's in now. Then it's going to descend until the shadow gets certain length. Now Asr's in. Then it's going to descend until the sun goes down. Now Maghrib's in. Excuse me. That's going to stay until the redness disappears. Now Isha is in. That's going to stay until there's a white light in the eastern horizon. Now Fajr's in. That's going to stay until the sun cracks the horizon. Now Fajr's out. Okay. Now, before I add for you something, any question? Okay. Now, you know when Fajr goes out, when the sun cracks the horizon. So this is sunrise. That's what they call shuruq, sunrise. So Fajr's over. And you know about zenith. And you know the difference between zenith and when dhuhr actually comes in. Dhuhr comes in after zenith, when the sun tilts into the west. Now, you know also that from Fajr, you know also that from Fajr until Dhuhr, there's no obligatory prayer. But is there something that's not obligatory? Yes. What goes in this time here? What goes in this time here between sunrise and zenith? From sunrise to zenith, what goes in there is Eid prayer and Duha prayer. Yes. Now, when does Eid prayer start? And when does Duha prayer start? So, according to some, Dhuhr prayer, according to some, start with Duha. According to some, when does Duha come in? Duha comes in when the sun is over the horizon, the height of a spear. Here's a man with a spear. In the horizon, though. Not right next to you, far from you. He's in the horizon. As far as you can see. As far as you can still see him. He's not so far that you can't see him anymore. But he's so far that you can still see him, though, before you can't see him anymore. And the sun rose. So you're looking at this guy. You're looking out your window, and you see this guy all the way down there with a spear in his hand. And you see the sun rising, and the sun is over his spear. Duha time is in now. Duha time. And Eid also. They start at that time. But some scholars said Eid prayer starts at sunrise. Sunrise. Not here. Sunrise means shuruk, when the sun cracks the horizon. Some of them said that's when Eid prayer starts. And even according to those who are saying Eid prayer starts at shuruk, even according to those, still better though to delay and pray it when duha time comes in. You can pray it at shuruk, better to wait and pray it at duha time. So, two sayings about Eid prayer. One saying is comes in at duha time. Other saying is comes in at shuruk time, but still better to pray it at duha time. And then uh, stays in until dhuhr time. Yani until dhuhr time. Until zenith. Yani zenith only lasts a moment. It's not a long time. You can't even fit a whole prayer in zenith time. Okay. Now, one last thing for you. Are there any other ways to tell the prayer times? Yeah, there are other ways to tell the prayer times. Yeah, and you have a few other alternatives. Flag still blowing in the wind. Muslim flag. So, when does Dhuhr come in? What did we say? Oh, I erased it. Subhanallah. We said Dhuhr comes in when the sun comes out of its zenith. Okay. So it means not in the middle, it's on the western side. Dhuhr's in. And also there's another sign. The other sign that Dhuhr's in is the fate itself. When this shadow tilts over, that means Dhuhr's in. Okay. And so that's now you have two ways to know Dhuhr's in. One is that the sun has declined into its zenith, out of its zenith. One is that the sun has declined out of its zenith. The other is that the shadow turned towards the east. Okay, then Asr will come in eventually. Yeah, and the shadow's gonna be so long. I don't have alternative for Asr for you. Then when does Maghrib come in? Maghrib comes in when the sun is completely below the horizon. Yes. What if there's trees in the horizon and there's buildings also? You can't see where the sun went down. So how you know Maghrib came in? Then you look. Is the darkness approaching from the east? What does that mean to say the darkness is approaching from the east? Means that you can see two different shades in the sky. Yeah, you see a light shade and a dark shade. Dark one, that's the darkness coming in. The night's coming in. And the light side is the day going out. Light side is the day going out. So when you see like that, one side of the sky is dark, other side of the sky is light. This means Maghrib is in. Because the side that's dark means that's the night coming in. Where does the night come from? The night comes from the east. Three things come from the east. The sun comes from the east. The night comes from the east. And the day comes from the east. And they all set in the west also. So that's your alternative. Now you have two ways to know Maghrib is in. Either because the disk of the sun is completely down, or because you see the darkness coming from the east. Seeing the darkness coming from the east means you're going to see in the sky two shades, a dark side and a light side. And anyway, you're going to be looking for that because, for example, you'll be fasting. You want to see, is it in? Is it in? I can't see the horizon. I'm not sure. I don't have a calendar. What I'm going to do? So you're looking, then you're going to see. And the more you do this, the more you make these observations, the better at this you're going to get. Okay, what about Isha? Does Isha have alternative way to know that it's sin? Yes. Also, Isha has alternative way to know that it's sin. So, what's the first way to know Isha is in? That the redness of the horizon has gone away after the sun went down. So that's one way. But also another way to know Isha is in that there's many stars in the sky. So this means Isha isn't. It's not many stars in the sky at Maghrib time. Maghrib is just the first night, the first of night. And Fajr time, I don't know an alternative way also to determine Fajr for you. But you're going to see, if you don't see the first light of Fajr, you're going to see eventually the light's coming before the sun comes up. So you're going to know Fajr's in. هكذا. And what if it's cloudy and you can't see anything? No shadow, no sun, no star, no redness. Then you can go by the day before or week before because the time only increases or decreases by a day or two every day. So you're going to know which season you're in. Are you in the season where the days are getting longer, like right now, for example? Or are you in the season when the days are getting shorter? Yeah, that's winter time. So then, whichever way it is, then you say, yesterday or 2 days ago, the time came in such and such time. And now I can't see anything, but the days are just getting longer or shorter by a minute or two. So just by my estimation, then I know it's in now, for example. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Allah knows best. Any questions?